Okay, so we want you to be able to sit down and do self hypnosis. We want it to be easy and we want it to be effective. And the best way to do that is to train your mind to go into a self hypnotic state. As we are practicing this, you're going to be creating those new knowns in your own subconscious mind, making it easier for you when you intend to do self hypnosis to get yourself into the ideal state. There is a little caveat, and I want to make this as somewhat of a disclaimer because our emotional states are fluctuating. And when we are really distressed, whether it is stress or overwhelm or a tremendous amount of fear or anger or any of those lower vibrational emotions that we can, in some cases, be triggered into, those are not ideal times to do self hypnosis. Now, you might be thinking to yourself, isn't that when I would need to do some self hypnosis to get myself into a better state? Here is what I want to say about that. If you can soften up that negative emotion enough so that you go into your self hypnosis with a more pure, positive mindset, you're more calm, you're more in control of your mental and emotional faculties, then by all means. If, however, you find yourself really struggling internally, you're feeling a tremendous amount of negative emotion, perhaps you can't get certain negative thoughts out of your mind, that is not a very good time to do self hypnosis. It would be the equivalent of going to a therapist who was really highly agitated, right? You're putting yourself into a heightened state of suggestibility. You've already been negatively reinforcing that old subconscious trigger. We do not want to be creating more disharmony, more distress. And so you can do some EFT to get yourself calmed down. You can just simply do a very gentle meditation to clear your mind, do some releasing processes. If you do not know how to do these things, I highly encourage you to take advantage of the Inner Game Academy free trial. I teach you how to do all of these things. I have resources in there to help you through all of those types of challenges. Essentially, self hypnosis needs to be done in a positive state. You are going to go to a hypnotherapist, you would want them to be in a positive state. You'd want them to be empowered, empowering. You'd want them to be encouraging. You would want good stuff flowing through them, right? Same with yourself. So, when you're doing your self hypnosis, make sure that you've got good, positive intentions. You're feeling at least somewhat empowered. Okay. And then from there, it's going to be much easier for you to get into this ideal state where you can now practice the art and science of self hypnosis. So, as we begin this, I am going to ask you to make sure that you are taking somewhat of an open minded approach to this. Remember, there is no right way to do this. Everyone is different. Some people are very visual, some people are more kinesthetic, it's more about feelings. Some people are perhaps really good at intending. They're very powerful when they're clear on their intentions. They don't necessarily perceive in a very, very visual sense. Perhaps they're not very in tune with some of those subtle emotions and feeling energy. There is no one way that this needs to be done. The only way is what feels right and good for you. So be open to your unique experience. And as you become proficient at this, you're going to really feel like you're able to clearly in your mind know what feels like a really effective self-hypnosis session for you. And just like anything, it does take practice. You weren't good at tying your shoes the first one or two or three or even 5 or 10 times that you did it. It took that consistent practicing to create all of that subconscious programming that allowed you to become very proficient at that particular activity. So now let's get into a couple of very, very helpful little tips that you can use when you are inducing yourself into a self-hypnotic state that will make the process easier and more effective for you. Now, if any of these don't feel good to you, don't use them, okay? Just like I always say, when you're using any of the guided hypnosis audios that I create, if you don't feel good about something that you're listening to, maybe it agitates you, maybe you're just in a bad mood, something about it doesn't feel in alignment or congruent with you, don't try to force it. That is not helping you at all. What we want to do is find what feels right and good. That is when it's going to become the most beneficial for you. Now, when you begin any type of self-hypnosis practice, we always want to make sure we're relaxing the body and we're quieting the mind. It, of course, is very important that you go into your self-hypnosis with clarity about what you're intending to be impressing upon your subconscious mind, because once you're in that hypnosis state, you are now sort of in a different altered state of consciousness. You've gone from your conscious, alert beta brainwave state now into an alpha state. And so that's not the time that we're going to be kind of conjuring up what our intentions are for the session. Ideally, you'll know going into your session what types of visualizations you want to have, what type of positive suggestions you want to give yourself, etc. So, as you are either sitting or lying comfortably, ideally, you are in some quiet place where no one is going to disturb you. Your phone's not going to start ringing. You don't have alerts going off on your computer. You're, sitting where you can physically allow yourself to safely, comfortably relax. You do not want to do this in the driver's seat of your car because you can form associations between this very deep, relaxed state and where you are. So if you are in bed, for instance, and you have an association of when I lay down, I fall asleep, that actually can adversely affect your self-hypnosis. Rather than going into self-hypnosis, you may just drift off to sleep. So find a place where you can create that association with deep relaxation, and it is not going to have any previous attachments or associations that could conflict with your session, and you're not creating any adverse associations with an area that you normally need to be alert and in a conscious waking state. So let's just assume that you are able to use, say, your office, just like I am here. Now, luckily, I'm able to have multiple associations with this space. I can drop myself into a deep alpha brainwave state and then sort of just kind of come to and be a very, productive person at the other things on my to-do list. So now, as you are sitting, we want to make sure that we are able to close our eyes. We're able to be comfortable. We feel very safe and secure. You can lean back. You can be upright. You can do whatever is comfortable for you. Remember, there is no right or wrong way. It is just what is right and good for you. And so now I'm going to walk you through a couple of these different techniques. I'm going to ask you to actually do these things so that we begin to create these knowns in your subconscious mind. So the first thing that I'm going to ask you to do is go ahead and allow your eyes to close. This is an important part of the process because now we do not have all of those visual distractions and we're able to be more laser focused on our intention. So as you notice that your eyes are closed, okay, I want you to just take a couple of nice, deep cleansing breaths. And this is sort of setting us up for going into that deeper state of relaxation. We know that breath work does change our state, not only physiologically, but also how it affects our brainwave states. So, those nice, deep cleansing breaths, at least 3, possibly even 6, you do not have to count, just trust whatever it takes for you to begin to feel yourself sort of click into, all right, it is time now for my self hypnosis session. Now, one of the tricks, and I do teach this in the book, this is a powerful little tool for inducing an alpha brainwave state. When you go to a hypnotherapist, they may actually do the induction technique where they have you choose a spot on either the ceiling or a wall. And what essentially we're doing here is we are, one, focusing, and that focused attention helps to draw us into that alpha brainwave state. But the other thing is when you're looking up, when you roll your eyes up, that process of rolling your eyes up is helping to actually induce an alpha brainwave state. So, with your eyes closed, you can roll your eyes up as though you are looking up at a specific spot that you've chosen above eye level. So, even though your eyes are closed, it's the eyes are in that upward fixed position. And you may feel some discomfort as you do that. If that is the case, you might actually have your eyes rolled up a little too high. So just soften that up a little bit. Okay. Just remember above eye level. And as you're fixing your eyes in that upward position, you're now really, really mindful of your breathing. We love to bring our conscious awareness to our breathing. It causes the breathing to become more slow and more rhythmic. You'll notice that your heart rate begins to slow down and you're progressively moving yourself into a more relaxed state, essentially slowing your brain waves down. We're then transitioning into that alpha brainwave state, which helps us to bypass the conscious mind, getting into that heightened state of suggestibility where we become more receptive to imprinting on the subconscious mind. And you only need to have your eyes in that position for maybe a minute or two. Okay. You'll start to feel yourself become much more relaxed. And when you feel yourself become more relaxed, you no longer need to be focused on the position of your eyes. You just simply have your eyes closed and you just allow yourself to continue to focus on your breathing. Now, as you are in your self hypnotic state, you may feel as though your mind begins to sort of wander off. And now, rather than being clear and focused on your intention for that self hypnosis session, you're thinking about what happened earlier today or what you need to do later. We want to make sure that we're mindful of that and we are bringing our attention back And so, what you'll want to do is don't get freaked out over it. Don't beat yourself up over it. You're just going to put yourself into the wrong state. Just simply guide your attention back to your breathing. Just simply, easily, gently guide your attention back to your breathing. So, if your mind wanders off, you just notice it, you're aware of it, practice some mindfulness, right? And with your intention, bring your awareness back to your breathing. Refocus on your breathing. Get yourself back into that nice, quiet, relaxed state before you continue on with your self hypnosis. Now, if you want to deepen your state, which you most certainly can do, there are some other little tips and tricks that I want to share with you. Now, you may feel that you are just perfectly comfortable with this state that you're able to create purely by focusing on your breathing, doing that little eye exercise where we induce the alpha brainwave state. And now you can continue on with your visualization. If, however, you would like to take yourself into a deeper state, then we can use the countdown technique. Numbers are very symbolic to our subconscious mind. So there are a couple of different approaches that you can use. One that I love to use as taught in the Silva method is you imagine that there is a mental screen, almost as though you're sitting and you're looking up at that big black movie theater screen. Okay. And on it, you see the number 3 flash, 3. And you see it flash 3 times. Okay. And so you're essentially in sort of this black inner space. It's not uncomfortable. It's just like sitting in a movie theater where it's dark and you see that number 3 flash up on the screen 3 times. And then 2 flashes up on that screen, not too fast, just whatever's comfortable for you. And you see that 2 flash on your screen 3 times. And then down to 1. Same thing. See the number 1 flash on the screen of your mind 3 times. Okay. And I love to use the number 0. This is something that we're taught in our hypnotherapy training. Okay. 0 is kind of like going into the 0 point field. It is that place where now we are in that expansiveness of all things. Okay. The point of creation. So go ahead and see the number 0 flash on that screen 3 times. And each time you're going deeper and deeper and deeper into a state of relaxation. You're slowing those brain waves down progressively, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more, a little bit more. Now, if you prefer, you can do your countdown from 10, or you could do your countdown from 20, and you do not have to see it flash on the screen 3 times. For instance, when I'm doing a guided hypnosis session, I may take you through a staircase induction where we start at the top of the staircase. It's a staircase of 20 steps. And we're just counting ourselves down progressively in a nice, comfortable way. So 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. At 0, we always go nice and deep at 0. And again, remembering that numbers are sort of this symbolic language of the subconscious mind. So as we are counting down, psychologically, we're taking ourselves into that deeper and deeper and deeper state. Now, if you listen to any hypnosis audios, that can actually help to prime your mind as well. And you can use some of the language that you've heard in these various different inductions, and they will trigger within you that same familiar conditioned state, that known in your subconscious mind of what it feels like to relax and go deeper. Okay? So these processes are these deepening techniques that help you to slow your brain waves down, allowing you to go into that nice, deep, sort of self-induced trance state. Okay. Now, I want to share with you one other process that I like to use. And this is a little bit more advanced, and this is perhaps a little more spiritual in nature, but a wonderful way to create a very, very high vibrational frequency in your body, in your mind, so that as you are going into your self-hypnosis session, you have some really, really powerful positive energy activated within you. Now, this process is connecting us more energetically with that divine energy that we're all connected into. I don't care what your spiritual or religious beliefs are, okay? We are not just some random phenomenon that has this consciousness in this body, right? We understand there's got to be something else going on here. And for those of you who are a bit more spiritually oriented, you probably already feel very, very comfortable with this conceptually. So, again, remember, if it doesn't feel good to you, don't use it, okay? If you're more of the sort of, I'm hung up on some of the, I've got to see the evidence of it before I can believe it, then just stick with the original processes that I taught you. They're very logical, they're very rational, and if that's what feels good to you, just stick with those. But see if you like this one, and if you do, it is a wonderful process to deepen you into a self-hypnotic state and get your vibrational frequency. We know we're energy. We know that from science. Get your frequency raised, okay? So now, for this one, I want you to just, with your eyes closed, notice where it feels like your consciousness, your point of consciousness, your conscious awareness is residing. If you're very much in your head most of the time, you're going to feel as though your consciousness is somewhere probably in your head or somewhere around your head, okay? If you're very heart-centered, or if you've been feeling very loving, a lot of gratitude, it may feel as though your consciousness is in or around your heart. Doesn't matter where you feel like your consciousness is. This is just a practice of being aware, okay? And so wherever that consciousness is, you are able to move that purely with your intention. So now if you're not already in your heart, we're going to guide with your intention, your consciousness down into your heart. And you can feel a shift as you move your conscious awareness from your head area down into your heart. And just that process creates a grounding sensation, okay? And with your consciousness now in your heart, we are going to allow your consciousness, your awareness, to come up and out of your body, up, out through the top of your head. And for some people, they actually may feel as though that crown chakra, that chakra at the very, very top of our heads that connects us with that divine energy that is always sort of our divine connection, that is sort of opened up, connecting up way up into the sky. Just take your consciousness straight up until you feel yourself connect with what a lot of people will refer to as a divine energy. It could be divine consciousness. It could just feel like you're connecting with this divine energy. And you'll feel a very subtle shift internally as you connect in with that energy. It might even just simply feel like a knowing, there it is. Okay. Once you connect with that, you've opened up your flow. You're always connected. Okay. You cannot shut that part of yourself off. However, we do sort of close that flow down. We tighten it up when we're constricted, when we're in those lower vibrational energies, when we're feeling stressed or overwhelmed, we become constricted and we're closing off that flow a little bit. Okay. Through this exercise, we've opened it up. And now it is free flowing down in through the top of our head, filling our whole body, our whole energy field. And now you're going to, with your consciousness, remember that point of consciousness, okay? We're noticing that's back in our body as that energy comes down in and fills us up. And now we're going to take it straight down through the base of your spine, straight down into the planet Earth. And right in the middle of the planet is another energy, slightly different, feels kind of like a nurturing energy. That's why we call it the Mother Earth. It's very nurturing, it's very grounding. And the moment that you connect with that energy, again, you'll feel subtle shift. It might feel like a knowingness. That energy comes up, filling us up, and we become connected above and below. And then we bring our attention back into our heart space. And from here now, we are fully connected. We've raised our vibration. We're filling ourselves up with all of that pure positive energy that we're connected with when we're in one of those really beautiful states, a state of love, a state of joy, a state of gratitude. And so from here now, you can begin your self-hypnosis session. So these are a couple of different techniques that I'm going to encourage you to play around with, to try out, see what you like. Maybe sometimes you'll use one process, some sessions you'll use a different process, and you might settle in on a process that feels just perfect for you to induce a nice, deep state of relaxation. Remember, unlike doing hypnosis with a hypnotherapist, you are going to still be somewhat in a semi-conscious state. You're just in an altered state. You're in a deep state of relaxation. We don't typically induce some of those deeper states, right? We're not going into those more unconscious states of hypnosis when we're doing self-hypnosis, because we need to be able to facilitate, what am I visualizing? What am I imagining? What type of image am I conjuring up about my own self-image? What type of affirmations or mantras am I going to be using in this session to be positively impressing upon my subconscious mind? Because we're facilitating our own session during self-hypnosis, we need to stay in a deep state of relaxation. So we are in that heightened state of suggestibility, but not drifting into that deeper altered state where we lose our conscious faculty, because then we're not actually able to facilitate self-hypnosis. So if you start to slip too deep, you will likely just feel yourself kind of come up a little bit. Remember, just like when you're doing any type of hypnosis, even with a practitioner, it's natural to fluctuate a little bit between depths. So sometimes you'll feel very, very deeply relaxed. Other times you may feel a little bit more consciously alert. That is all very natural. It's normal and it's perfectly okay. Now, this is not a training video on what type of visualization exercises to do or what type of mantras or suggestions to give yourself. This is purely for the purpose of inducing that state. But one thing that I do want to squeeze in here is when you feel a sense of completion on your self-hypnosis session, to count yourself up and re-energize yourself. So you're never going to get stuck in an altered state of consciousness. We flow in and out of these states naturally each and every day. That is a complete myth. You cannot get stuck in hypnosis. Okay. But you do want to be able to bring yourself up into an energized state when you're done. You don't want to stay in that sort of lingering lull state. So, just like how we counted ourselves down into hypnosis, you can count yourself up. Now, in my hypnotherapy training, we may count down from 20 as we're descending down the staircase to go into a deeper state. But when we count up, we only count from 0 up to 5. Okay. There's no right or wrong way to do this. It is just preference, but you may want to play around with that one a little bit. So basically, we're starting at 0. That's where we were in that 0 point field, that point of creation. Now we're going to ascend up to a wide awake state. So you can simply count yourself 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, eyes open, wide awake, nice and energized. And that becomes sort of the subconscious symbolism for, hey, it's go time. I'm energized. I'm alert. I feel fantastic. Okay. So just remember, we're just counting ourselves back up to a state of being energetic and alert. This will conclude this little training video. Listen to it a couple of times if it's beneficial for you. Remember, it is about what feels right and good for you. And so you might actually use some completely different induction methods to create your altered state of consciousness for your self-hypnosis sessions. But these are readily available for you as well. So your next step now is to practice these. And we, of course, can get into some different techniques that you can use when you're in that self-hypnotic state to help you with powerful, positive subconscious conditioning.